Hello and welcome back to Unbox the podcast. I'm Sahar Huneidi Palmer. In today's episode, we're going to explore a serious idea: how our health issues, particularly autoimmune diseases, develop. They often stem from invisible stressors that affect both our bodies and our energy system. So we'll dive into the unseen causes, or what I call the unseen world of energy, discussing energies, stresses, which are not immediately apparent in diagnosis. So what stories are we unconsciously telling ourselves that causes such stressors to turn into autoimmune diseases? This understanding is crucial for healing our bodies holistically. So let's jump in and talk about the hidden roots of our causes. So let's jump in and talk about the hidden root causes of illness. Any disease, if you think about it, is really dis-ease. Something within our energy physical system is out of harmony. Many physical ailments, particularly autoimmune diseases, are frequently linked to underlying inflammation or stresses that affect our nervous system. So our nervous system picks up everything that is happening in the outside world. It sends messages through the neural network to our brain, and our brain responds by sending the appropriate relevant messages to our gland system and so on. Throughout my mentoring, I have observed how these conditions often have roots not just in physical symptoms, but also in the way that we think and feel. And also, they indicate energetic disruptions, which really cause them, to put it simply. I have seen how clients, when they're really, really angry, upset about what happens in their life, they're unable to cope with it or accept that it has happened. And this anger and resentment, I've witnessed it turn into horrible diseases like cancer that took away their lives. So I would like to talk about this today so that we can begin to understand what our health requires in order for true healing to take place. Everything in the world is physical and energetic. So the seen, the unseen, matter, antimatter, or matter, physical reality, but there's an energy. Everything, including the earth, everything that revolves in the universe has energy. When you go for a scan, when you do an ECG, what you are measuring? You're measuring the energy. Our journey to wellness begins by listening to our bodies. What is going on in our body? Consider a client with thyroid issues, suggesting an autoimmune condition. In holistic life mentoring, we examine not only the physical symptoms, but the underlying emotional imbalances, like chronic stress. Chronic anything contributes to such disorders. If you're not eating well for a very long time, if you're relying on junk food, for example, all of that ends up affecting how your body communicates with itself, how the different cells, glands, etc. respond to each other. And we discuss how small, manageable lifestyle adjustments, such as dietary changes and stress management techniques, can make a huge, big difference. I'm going through something similar at the moment to do with my thyroid, and I have revamped my diet, and the way that I went about it is by taking small steps towards a healthier diet. Without noticing, within weeks, that became a habit. So I am more conscious of what I buy and what I eat. So how do we bridge body and energy through healing? Beyond the physical symptoms lies a vast, often untapped world of energy that influence our well-being. For example, dreams about losing teeth can symbolize deep-seated changes that we're ignoring. It's a signal to let go of habits, which is why I bring in my mentoring all of these things: how you feel, how you think, also what you dream about, to try and unlock what is going on unconsciously. This symbolism is why I've created the Your Dreams Decoded ebook, aiming to bridge the gap between the unconscious and the conscious mind. And this is to help you understand and harness the inner messages that often go unnoticed, which can lead to healing. When it comes to addressing autoimmune issues effectively, we need to understand the difference between change and transition. Change is an external event, such as moving to a new city or starting a new job or anything really like that, changes that we go through, the different levels or the different stages of growing up. Transition, however, is the internal, emotional, physiological process that we undergo in response to change. So a transition is almost like 180 degrees change. It's like being married and then losing a spouse, or leaving school and then suddenly entering the real world. That's a huge change, if you like. So I call that a transition. Recognizing this internal process is crucial, because when the change is so huge, like a transition, our bodies react physiologically, emotionally. And stresses can really exacerbate physical symptoms. The holistic approach uses visualizations, energy healing techniques, employing colors. All of these are frequencies that the brain understands. And when you put your mind, your brain, I use that today interchangeably, in the right frequency, then it begins to understand you're relaxed, you're doing something about it, the underlying frequency or signature that you are at changes, and in small ways, healing can begin. If you hold a belief, life is unfair, I'm not treated well, for a very long time, that in itself can become a chronic condition that ultimately will trigger signals of stress. When you're undergoing a chronic situation like regular short income or an issue that you've been battling with for a long time, that will be a chronic condition and that will regularly stress your system. So what can you do? Apart from what we have mentioned earlier, in this situation, supportive relationships are truly important because personal relationships influence our health. If your life journey is going really slow and you're not experiencing achieving goals and the successes that you hope for, look at your relationships because they also affect your overall health. Filter people that you've just inherited for no reason and ask yourself, are they nurturing me, my life in any way? And those who are not, you need to detox, declutter, if you will, on an emotional level, and just let them go. So when you want to rejuvenate your personal energy and replace the stress by joy, which in turn revitalizes relationships and how you spend your day and end up supporting you emotionally so that your physical health can begin to improve. Watch what you say as well. Whatever goes into the unconscious gets there consciously. So it's the conscious actions that you take without awareness, the vocabulary that you use, the phrases that you frequently say, condition your unconscious mind. I want you to remember that healing isn't about making drastic changes overnight, but it is about consistent small steps that you take every day, and these steps anchor you towards achieving the goals that you want in a joyful way. If you look at something like, I've got to do this, otherwise, whatever, my health will fail, you're really taking the joy out of it, and it becomes another stress for your physical health. But once you inject joy into any activity that you do, that will not only encourage you to keep going, but it will actually affect your healing, your overall frequency, if you like. And finally, I want to thank you for tuning in today to Unbox the Podcast. And I apologize for releasing this episode late. I live in Dubai and there are many buildings going up around me, and sometimes the noise is unbearable, although I have all sorts of filters, but still. So always check Tuesday, Wednesday at the max, and the episode will be released. If you're enjoying the podcast, please show your support by subscribing. I know you're downloading, but I would like you to subscribe so that the podcast circulates and more people find out about it. If you have any suggestions, please get in touch and email. I'll see you next week.